Welcome to the Private Practice with Soul podcast. My name is Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and I help private practice owners align their business back with their soul's calling, with their big vision and with their soul's purpose. Unlike other private practice coaches, I've traveled the world in search of spiritual resources, spiritual tools, education and information so that you can have the transformation that your soul desires and needs so that you can up-level your business. How much fun is this? I love it so much. Guys, if you're not already a member of the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group, please check out the show notes. I would love for you to be there. In the meantime, thank you so much for pushing play today. Let's begin. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Private Practice with Soul. I am so pleased that you're here. You can probably hear it in my voice, but I seem to be going through this huge period of growth at the moment. I've enrolled myself in more coaching, of course. I'm such a big fan of being coached because I know that that's where growth for me happens. I need that sort of one-to-one. And I've got a really great coach at the moment who I'm loving working with. And it's like stretching me and pushing me. And the other really awesome thing about being coached is when you grow, you get to share all of that with people that you're working with. So they're all sort of in the stage now of having a bit of an up level because I'm having an up level. So it makes me feel really nice to do that. But the other thing that I've done is I think I'm also doing 4 courses at the moment. I've got a girlfriend who I talk to almost every day. Her name's Kim. And I think I said to her recently, you've got to stop me from enrolling in courses. So I've just enrolled in another one this week, which is all around energy work and shamanic healing and stuff like that. So I'm so excited to learn more about that and apply it to private practice, of course, so that you guys get to benefit from the learning that I'm doing. And that's why you do it, right? Anyway, so I'm like so full up. My cup is so full at the moment. Plus, I just got this book off Book Depository. It's called You Are the Goddess. And I don't know if you've read it before, but oh my gosh, you know how sometimes you just have an experience where you pick up a book and you feel like it was just written for you? That's how this one feels. I would absolutely recommend if you're interested in learning more about feminine energy, the divine feminine, that would be a really great place for you to start because it's written in a way that's really accessible, like it's super easy to understand. Plus, it just makes you feel so beautiful and good about yourself as a woman when you read it. Oh my gosh, like I had clients this morning, but I'm clear for the rest of the day and I'm just so excited to put the heater on, make myself a nice cup of tea, cuddle up with Gabe and get stuck back into that book. But that's me. Anyway, I just wanted to, I don't know why I even said all that. I think I just wanted to share with you why I'm in such a good mood. Anyway, okay, on with the show. Today I want to talk with you about mirroring. And this is something that I think people don't really talk about too much in spirituality and spiritual podcasts because it's kind of a bit yucky in that it's a difficult thing for us to explore, to process, to go through. It requires a lot of work to be done. And I think, I don't know, it's just my opinion. Maybe it's the podcast I'm listening to, but they tend to gloss over some of this, more difficult stuff. And they like to stick to, bright, light, high vibe, good vibe things. But that's not me. I like to leave no stone unturned. And so today is going to be a powerful episode for those of you who might be in a place at the moment where perhaps you're feeling stuck, or maybe you're feeling misunderstood, maybe you're feeling like the world doesn't get you, maybe you're questioning the practice and throwing in the towel and maybe starting something new. So what I'm talking about is this sense that what you're seeing in your practice is a reflection of what's actually going on inside you. Now, we've touched on this before, but I want to take a little bit further today. So, when I'm talking about casework or client work that I've done with my coaching clients, I always give false names. So I'm just going to call this person Mel, okay? Not her real name, obviously. But anyway, there's somebody who I was working with this morning. Her name was Mel. Anyway, she was in a real state. So I had made a plan for us to do some work around her visibility. And I was all excited to sit down. I'd mapped out her 90-day plan for her, for all her social media posts and everything. And we were getting ready to, look at putting some overlays on this for her. And so when she turned up to the session, I could see it. She was visibly upset when we started talking about visibility. And so we put our plan on hold and we addressed what was coming up. And the thing was that she's not a perfectionist, but she does have high standards for herself. But the other thing is that she was looking at other people's Instagram and she was looking at other people's Facebook feeds as part of her homework. She wanted to see what sort of layout, grid layout, whatever you call it on Instagram. Excuse my ignorance. I'm not an Instagram person, but she wanted to go there and have a look at different layouts for feeds. And then she wanted to have a look on Facebook and look for, different types of posts and stories and stuff like that. So she was researching. And anyway, what ended up happening was she got herself all worked up. And the reason for that was because the more that she started to research what other therapists, so social workers, counselors, psychologists were doing, the lower and lower and lower she began to feel. She started to feel like she wasn't as good as them. She started to feel like, how come they're having all this success and I'm not? How come she's running webinars and I'm not? How come, do you know what I mean? So there was all of this sort of stuff. And I think what was happening was really there was a lot of comparison going on. Even though it was meant to be like she was approaching it from a research perspective, I think what happened was somewhere it turned personal and she started feeling like, she was comparing herself to everybody. And I think what was happening there was we were able to identify, okay, what's going on for you? And she was being triggered. And so what we did was we spent some time together looking at, okay, what is it that's triggering you? The things that were triggering her were her beliefs around what other people are doing and where they're at and what that meant for her. Okay, so being exposed to other people all doing like all these amazing things and then posting about all those amazing things, she interpreted or she created or attributed a meaning that meant therefore she wasn't as good as them, or therefore she wasn't up to their standard, or therefore she wasn't good enough or worthy enough or whatever enough it was. Okay, so that was the first thing. And that is really, 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 really hard to do, because when you write this stuff down, as she did when we were in our session, it's kind of taking that thought or that feeling or that belief that's inside, deep inside, and it's putting it out here in the world when you write it down in black and white. And that in itself is a very, very powerful first step to take, because when you do that, you're stepping back into the position of responsibility, like we were talking about in previous episode. When you take responsibility for things, you take back control, which means then you can, activate the change that you want to experience. So it was the first thing. The second thing was we needed to try and understand, what this event, so what looking at Instagram was triggering within her. And again, this was really, really difficult because it's bringing up a lot of that shadow side of us. When we're operating and we're sort of being the light, yes, we're being the light and we're shining our light, but what's happening behind us is there's a shadow, right? And we all have a shadow side. And so what happens is sometimes when we're triggered by external events, they shine a little bit of light into our shadow side. Okay, and that's what was happening for her. And so this was a really good opportunity for us to do some of that deeper work. And in doing so, we were able to uncover and reveal some stories that she was telling herself about what others' success, or what she perceived to be others' success, meant for her. Okay, and this was not an easy conversation for her to have, because when you bring up that deep-seated shadow side, it is hard because you feel vulnerable, you feel afraid, you feel embarrassed, you feel guilty, you feel like just all those sorts of things come up. All of those sorts of feelings and emotions are incredibly powerful, and even they have their own light and dark sides. But when you're doing this work, you can expect that it's going to be a very confronting process to do. Once we'd sort of taken that second step and we'd understood what was going on for her at that level, what we were then able to do was go and have a look at, what part of her really, really, really wanted to be seen. Okay, so this is a different angle or a different take on looking at the shadow side, but it was really around looking at what other part of her wants to be validated, wants to be acknowledged, wants to be witnessed. Okay, and the other thing to try and really understand as well is, when we're thinking about masculine energy, we have divine, I keep saying masculine, I meant to say feminine, sorry. When we're thinking about feminine energy, we have the divine feminine and we have the wounded feminine, don't we? So the divine feminine comes from love, all right? She's heart-centered, soul-centered, intuitive, creative, receiving, allowing, all of that sort of stuff. When we're in wounded feminine looks like somebody who's doing all the things and not getting any results, and then thinking that that must mean something about their inadequacies. A wounded feminine example is when you're being a martyr. You're doing everything for everybody else and you're not really stopping to fill your own cup in the ways that are nourishing for you. When you do stop and fill your own cup, it's more a job, or it's more because you're on autopilot. You're not being overly mindful while you're doing it. Wounded feminine can also look like needing external validation in order to feel good about who you are. Wounded feminine looks like doubt, looks like questioning, looks like, not being sure or confident, lacking all of those sorts of things. Wounded feminine can also be quite defensive sometimes. So what we could see here for Mel was that she was operating from her wounded feminine, and by using that framework, we were able to implement a number of steps that could help her shift from operating within wounded feminine to stepping into divine feminine. Okay. The other thing that was happening was she was also stuck in her masculine energy. Okay, so masculine energy is about leading, it's about taking action, it's about projecting, it's about all of those sorts of things too. And we saw this with Mel's story because she kept doing more and more and more and more research. She kept doing more and more and more things in her business, but she wasn't getting the results that she wanted. And instead of honoring her feminine energy and allowing herself to step back for a while, she kept adding more and more and more sort of action steps, if you like, to do steps, if you like. And in the process was depleting her energy reserves from the feminine, which really needed to be topped up and replenished. So with this understanding, we were able to, as I said a moment ago, put steps in place to help her shift out of that masculine phase into, an understanding of what was going on for her wounded feminine, so that she could, fill her own cup, nourish herself, get back into that divine feminine space. Now, this all happened a couple of months ago, and since then, what's happened is she has updated her Instagram. She's updated her Facebook, and she's created schedules and content for, getting her message out and communicating with her audience in a way that's more aligned with her intention. All right. And her intention is to feel energized and lit up by the work that she does. What she had been doing before was having a goal, like, I want to have a goal of this many followers, I want to have a goal of this much engagement. And so when she was seeing that other people were having that, it was making her feel bad. She was forgetting about her intention. Okay, so your intention is something that's your why. Like, why do you want to have that goal? Well, I want to have that goal of increasing my followers so that I can do X, Y, and Z. But take it even further and be selfish with it. Well, what's it going to feel like for you? What's it going to mean like for you? Will you make more money? Will you feel better about who you are, or what you're doing, or what your service is? Or will you feel connected? Part of my intention for the work that I do, whether it's this podcast, whether it's sending an email, doing a Facebook Live, my intention is to be energized by the work that I'm doing. And the way that I'm energized is when I get a message from a client or a message from someone that's seen something that I've posted. They send me a private message usually. I don't know why. It's just, maybe it's just the demographic I'm working in. I don't know. And the topic that I'm talking about, but I get more private messages than public comments for some reason. But I'm energized when people will send me that message that says, hey, this landed for me. Thank you so much. That's energizing for me. And that's my addiction. Like, that's my why, that's my obsession. So that's my selfish intention that always marries up with my goal. Okay, so there's no right or wrong intention, but your intention needs to get you out of bed in the morning. That's a difference. Okay, so if you're having a really bad morning like Mel was, by anchoring into her intention, she's then able to get out of bed in the morning because she's feeling motivated, right? Something's important enough to her to take that next step. So anyway, this is a transformational podcast, as you know. And so, yes, I'm going to recap some of those questions that Mel and I went over on our call so that you can do some of the mirror work yourself if you're finding that you're in this space. But I want to preface it by saying this work can be challenging, hard, confronting, heavy, because you're going to be leaning into, of course, fear, leaning into resistance, leaning into discomfort. And so I want you to have somebody that you can connect in with if things become heavy and hard as a result of doing this, so that you have some support. And I'm happy to be that person if you don't have someone. I'll put my email in the show notes as always, and you can message me anytime, send me an email anytime and just say, I'm struggling with this, how do I continue to process it? And I will absolutely help you with that if you get stuck, because I don't want you to be alone while you're doing this work. But the questions are, number one, what is it that's triggering me? It might be someone, it might be something. Number two, what is being triggered deep within me? And you know what it is. It's just going to be hard to admit it to yourself, and it's going to be even harder to write it down for some of you. But anyway, what is being triggered within me? And then the third one is, what part of you really wants to be acknowledged? What part of you really wants to be honored? What part of you really wants to be seen right now? That is the part where we're bringing the shadow and we're going to transform that shadow into light. So that's what I mean by what part of you is it that's really wanting to be seen. That's where the transformation happens. Okay, we're taking that shadow and we're turning that shadow into light. All right. How cool is this? Of course, you can absolutely have, spiritual practice to inform your private practice as a practice owner and a practice director. As I said before, this is ethical magic, guys. This stuff works. But you have to do the work in order for it to work. Listening to a podcast alone ain't going to change anything. You've got to man up, and you've got to sit down with your journal, and you've got to get in the right state of mind to be able to do this work. But as I said, I'm here for you if you get stuck. I'm here for you if it feels hard and you need some support. Reach out anytime. If you're wanting more information about integrating a spiritual framework to run your private practice or to master your private practice, then let me know, because I would love to offer you an opportunity to join my community. It's called the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship, and we do all kinds of spiritual things in there. And today's Saturday, tomorrow's Sunday. Sunday we do, just for fun, we do card readings in there. So I have a multitude of oracle decks and card decks, and as part of being in that group, everybody's entitled to readings and things like that. So you're welcome to join us and get what you need. We're here to support you. Thank you so much for listening to another episode. If you liked it, please share it, because I would love to be able to support as many of you as I possibly can. I really, really value you so much. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast today. If you're looking for clarity, if you need help with branding, your processes, and bringing everything into alignment with your soul's purpose for your private practice, head to the show notes and click the link for more information about the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group. You are going to love it. I can't wait to see you in there. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.